Hey guys! I recorded this entire tutorial and then went to edit it and realized my mic was muted. So this entire thing is overdubbed. I hope you guys enjoy either way. And on to the tutorial. Hello agents! Stormy here, and welcome to this Robo Recall mod tutorial. This is part 1 of a 2-video tutorial series on how to create a reloadable, fully animated firearm mod in Robo Recall. I already have a regular tutorial for firearm mods in Robo Recall, which is linked down in the description, but for this video I wanted to focus on the reloading system that I created and how you can integrate it into your own guns. This video will be about preparing the firearm model you'd like to use for Robo Recall, and the second video will cover the systems used for the mod and how I set everything up in Unreal Engine. Let's jump in. Almost all of my mods feature models from Sketchfab. It's a great place to find thousands of free and paid models by artists from all over the world. The website has a large selection of downloadable firearm models, from pistols and revolvers to rocket launchers and rifles, but today we're going to focus on the Glock 17 model by R4M on Sketchfab for this video. It's a super solid model with great textures and a pretty decent poly count, and the most important part for this mod, it features a fully modeled pistol magazine. We need that because we're going to be utilizing that magazine model as our reload for the mod. You can use any model you'd like for this tutorial, just make sure you check before downloading that it has a fully modeled magazine, otherwise the model won't work with our mod. Also make sure when you go to download your mod that you either get an FBX or OBJ file. DAEs or GLB files generally don't work great inside Blender without extra plugins. The link to the Glock 17 model is down below. Grab it or whatever model you want to use and make sure you have it extracted into a folder on your computer where you can easily find it. I have mine in my Robo Recall catch-all folder under Models, Pistols, and the Glock 17. The piece of software we're going to use to rig the firearm is called Blender, specifically the 2.79 version. The 2.8 version should work for this, but some of the UI has changed and I just haven't learned it all again yet. Load Blender, which can be downloaded from blender.org if you don't already have it, and get rid of the default cube. We're then going to go up to File and click on Import, then the FBX file option. It should bring up Blender's File Explorer, and you can navigate to your weapons folder on your hard drive and import the FBX file. Now, with the Glock, we got very lucky, and most of the pieces are separated by default. If not, you'll have to separate the parts manually, which takes some more work. For this model, however, we just need to combine a few things, then get to rigging. This model has lots of different individual pieces that need to be joined together because we won't be using them. For instance, these two buttons here, we don't use either one, so we should just combine them together with the handle so they don't move. To do so, select the button, then hold Shift and select the handle, and then hit Ctrl+J to join the two items into one. Now the geometry exists on one mesh, and we need to do the same thing for the second button. There are also a bunch of tiny objects up in the barrel that need to be joined together. These two pieces in the bullet ejection slot should be combined, as well as the slide and the iron sights. There are also pieces inside the barrel that need to be joined with the handle so they don't move. To see them, move the slide up with the move key and then check to see what is there. Just make sure you hit Ctrl-Z to remove the slide back down into place before you continue, otherwise it'll get stuck up there. For rigging, we're going to need a total of 4 bones. One for the handle, one for the trigger, slide, and magazine. The only real special bone in this set is the magazine. It'll need to be rotated so it matches the side of the angle of the magazine. Otherwise, it'll cause the magazine to move left and right as it comes down out of the pistol, which is not what we want. The rest should just be 90-degree angles, which is pretty easy, and then just connected together. The only other special bone, and anything that we have to do for it, is the handle. Currently, when the handle is just normally imported into Blender, the origin for it is inside the circle for the trigger pull. We want it to be on the handle of the gun. In order to fix that, we're just going to select the handle and hit the Tab key to go into edit mode, and then hit Z to go into wireframe. Then we're going to hit the C key to go into circle select and just drag over some of the vertices on the handle object until the 3D cursor that we can see with the arrows on it is right in the middle of the handle. Then we're going to hit Shift S and then select cursor to selected to put it there. Then we're going to hit Tab again to go out of edit mode, and then we're going to hit Control Shift Alt C to bring up the origin menu, and then we're going to select origin to 3D cursor to put the object right in the middle where we want it. And the next part is pretty easy. Now we just need to add those 4 bones. We're going to start with the handle, since we just finished making the origin point for that work where we want it to be. We're going to select the handle and then hit Shift S and select cursor to selected to make sure that the 3D cursor is on the origin point for the handle. Then we're going to hit Shift A and go to armature and then single bone, which will add an armature rig to our mesh in the exact spot where the handle starts. We're going to go into the side screen, and we're going to select the bone data tab, which it looks like a stick figure, and we're going to select X-ray so that we can see it no matter whether we're in wireframe or poly mode. Then we're going to go to the bone data tab that looks like a bone, and we're going to set the name of that bone to handle so that it matches the object that it's attached to. We're then going to repeat that process for the slide and the trigger, and then for the magazine we're just going to do the same thing, but then we're going to rotate it a little bit so that it is in line with the back edge of the magazine. That just allows it, when it's in local movement mode, to be slid up and down along the edge of the pistol without going through and clipping. For each of these we're going to want to name them the object that they're connected to, and then we're going to want to connect them back to the handle. In order to do that, you just click on one of the bones and then shift click the handle bone, hit Control P, and then do an offset. This allows the bone to be connected to the handle bone, so if the handle moves, everything will move with it, but if those objects move by themselves, they're not going to drag the handle along with it, which would take the gun away from you. Once you've done that for each part, we should have a gun rig that moves completely in tandem when you select the handle bone. Now we need to go into pose mode and attach those objects to the components that they're supposed to be rigged to. So in order to do that, you're going to hit Control Tab to send yourself into pose mode. You're going to select a bone, and then you're just going to right click on the mesh that you want to attach it to, and then shift right click again on the bone to go back into pose mode, and then hit Control P and scroll all the way down until you see parent to bone. You want to do that because otherwise it's going to deform the mesh when the bone moves, and it's going to make the gun look wonky. So we just want a parent to the bone so that it moves and rotates, but it doesn't deform the mesh. Do that for all 4 of the bones: handle, slide, trigger, and magazine, and we should be good to go. Now we have a fully modeled, fully rigged Glock gun that is ready to be put into Robo Recall and used as a reloadable firearm. Go ahead and hit File, Export, FBX, and make sure that you have objects selected in your scene so that they'll export correctly. And then in the options for FBX over at the side, make sure you have selected objects only enabled so that you won't bring the camera and the lamp along with you, and then save it, and you should be good to go. I hope you guys have enjoyed this short little tutorial video. In the next episode, we're going to be going into the mod editor and taking a look at all the systems for the pull reload mechanic that I added, and showing you how to add it to your own weapon mods. If you have any questions about what you just saw or would like more information, please feel free to either go to www.roborecallmods.com and post a question there, or go to r/roborecall on the subreddit and leave a question there. I'll try and get back to you as quick as I can. Until next time, I'll see you in the field, agents.